Yeah. You can put it right here so that it's looking back on.
Well,
Not in front of me.
look at that. We still up? We're still up.
Is it getting?
It tracks it. Whoever's talking, it's gonna go to it.
Hi, I'm on now.
There we go, everyone. We are live. Excellent. Well, thank you so much to our executive team of Brennan's and Redfish Grill joining us today for our live event. We will give a bit of opportunity for more viewers to join us today. But the purpose of today's live event is to get the excitement going for our much anticipated Brennan's and Redfish Grill Career Fair to South Africa from the 23rd of August to the 2nd of September. Today's live session with the executive team of the Ralph Brennan's Restaurant Group is to introduce the Brennan's Restaurant as well as Redfish Grill. And we will share a bit more about the USA J1 program and the incredible opportunities and benefits that it offers to our candidates. Without further ado, I would love to introduce our executive team for Brennan's as well as Redfish Grill. In no particular order, I'm going to start with Chef Haley Bittermann, the Corporate Executive Chef and Director of Operations of the Ralph Brennan's Restaurant Group. Chef Haley, please will you share a bit more information about yourself and how you fit in with a big operation of the Ralph Brennan's Group?
Certainly. So I guess good afternoon or good evening where you are. So yes, I'm Haley Bittermann. I have been with the Ralph Brennan Restaurant Group for 30 years. I am the corporate executive chef and the director of operations. And I started out as an intern from culinary school. So I've had a wonderful education. I've gotten to learn to work front of the house and back of the house. And how important it is for both entities to work together. We're all one team. I am proud to work for a restaurant group for Ralph Brennan, we have 6 restaurants in New Orleans. We also have a restaurant in California, but the 2 restaurants we're representing today are Brennan's and Redfish Grill. I will be one of the folks traveling to South Africa. I think this is our fourth trip.
Yes,
and looking very much forward to it and feel incredibly lucky to get to travel to South Africa and talk to all the different students and interns. And we're super excited to come back. So I'm sitting here with Christian Pendleton, who is the general manager of Brennan's, and Kris Padalino, who is the executive sous chef at Brennan's. And then we have Christopher Vazquez, who is the executive chef at Redfish Grill. And Kris and I have worked together for decades. We actually started off as line cooks together at Mr. B's, one of the family's other restaurants. So Kris, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself?
Hi, my name is Christopher Vazquez. I have been with Ralph Brennan Restaurant Group for 14 years now. Prior to this, this particular stint, I was with them for a 4-year program. Then I was at Mr. B's where I did my internship there. And then I moved out to California. And for 16 years, I've worked in the industry for 30 years now. Been lucky enough to start off in New Orleans and then moved out to California, worked for Wolfgang Puck and several celebrities out there for private chef and all, and then had very fortunate to move on back to New Orleans and work for this group. I've been at Redfish Grill. Actually, this week is my 14th year here. I started off as a sous chef and moved up quickly to executive sous chef. Took over another department we had, catering department that we ran, and I ran that for 5 years, and then we've combined the catering and went back to Redfish and became the executive chef there. I've been executive chef at Redfish Grill since 2019. Redfish Grill is upscale casual seafood restaurant where we have a number of different fish, and we use the best of the seafood we have and the regional products that we have here in Louisiana. All right.
And Chris.
Incredible, Chef Chris Vazquez. And Christian, you are the general manager from the Brennan's restaurant. Please introduce yourself and tell us a bit more about your journey with Brennan's.
I am. Good evening, everybody. Again, my name is Christian Pendleton. I'm the general manager of Brennan's Restaurant. It is a position and an opportunity that I am incredibly proud of. I am not from New Orleans. I'm actually a military child, and most of my professional career was spent in Washington, D.C. I moved to New Orleans 10 years ago when Haley Bittermann was so desperate to hire a general manager before we opened that she literally threw her keys at me and said, "Best of luck." Like Haley, this will be my 4th visit to South Africa. Every time Bianca finds a new piece of the culture to introduce us to make sure it stays with us, but it is certainly a trip that has become an annual trip that we all look forward to and enjoy. Coming to work for Brennan's, it's a very large restaurant with incredibly high standards. We have almost 200 employees at Brennan's. And so coming to Brennan's, coming to Redfish Grill, really enjoying a J1 program is going to give you an opportunity to not only grow professionally, but also grow personally. And with the Ralph Brennan Restaurant Group, and specifically Brennan's and Redfish Grill, we really embrace that. We want you to come and learn and be better and to be exposed to things that you have not seen yet. But then really, at the same time, embrace the culture of New Orleans, because there is no city in the United States that has the culture like New Orleans does. And it's really what would make your trip the cherry on top of the icing that is the cake, if you will. You will have so many memories. There are interns, there's a lot of interns right now at Brennan's. We have, I think, 17 or 18 interns. So you will certainly be surrounded by people that have experienced the highs and lows that you will experience between the fear of moving halfway around the world, the unknown, but then also the crazy that is New Orleans, and every emotion in between. So we look forward to talking to you more about that today and more when we get to South Africa.
Incredible. Thank you so much, Christian. And last but not least, Chef Chris Padalino. I have seen you cook, and I've seen how incredibly passionate you are in the kitchen. Please do introduce yourself.
You're incredibly kind and generous. Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Chef Chris Padalino. I am the executive sous chef and the head of the pastry department at Brennan's. I've been with the company for about 7 years now, and this is my 2nd time coming to South Africa to meet everybody. I'm one of 7 chefs there, so that might give you guys a little bit of the magnitude of our restaurant. Like Redfish Grill, everything that we do in-house is locally sourced and seasoned. And it's been a great journey. I mean, I get really close with a lot of the J1s. I'm one of the point people at our restaurant, including Christian over here, and it's been fantastic. It's quite large. There's going to be a lot to learn, a lot to do. I promise you all you'll get your steps in that restaurant for sure, if that's what you're worried about. But yeah, really looking forward to meeting everybody and answering any questions you guys have today.
Incredible. And just as a quick introduction, my name is Bianca. I'm the placement manager for Placement International Africa. And co-hosting with me today, I have Carla Sapula. She is our placement supervisor for Africa. And then we also have Marta and Aruni from our talent search and development team. And we are very excited to introduce not only Brennan's and Redfish Grill, but also the USA J1 program to our viewers and candidates today. The USA J1 visa is a skilled visa, which enables not only students, but also graduates and young industry professionals within the hospitality industry, the opportunity to go and work at these top luxury hotels, resorts, restaurants throughout the USA on a 12-month program. And this is an incredible opportunity for you to really go and advance your career and to take this opportunity that is granted to you and to put in the hard work, the dedication, the sacrifice, traveling halfway around the world, and to go and learn, to grow, and to advance your career. These incredible properties, such as Redfish Grill, as well as Brennan's Restaurant, have already hired over 440 candidates from Africa over the last 4 or 5 years. And we have had incredible success stories. So now enough about the J1 program. I would just like to understand, perhaps Christian, you can give us a bit of background on Brennan's Restaurant specifically. What makes Brennan Restaurant so incredibly special and unique? Can you share a bit of the history, the dining concept, and what Brennan's Restaurant is all about?
I think the first thing that makes Brennan's unique is our owner, Ralph Brennan. In the industry, there's no question that this is a business, and everybody wants their business to succeed. The difference that Ralph brings to the table is Ralph is concerned with his people first and the business second. And there's a lot of people that will tell you that, but their actions are different. Ralph will tell you that, and his actions exceed what he has just told you. And that's the first thing that makes Brennan's very different. I think aside of that, one of the other things that's unique about Brennan's is that we are approaching in the next 6 months, celebrating being in business for 80 years. And that is just not common in our industry. I don't care where you are in the world. That is generations of family, of a family sharing a vision to be excellent. And so coming to Brennan's is difficult. It's not something that I sugarcoat. You are going to be pushed to be the best version of yourself. I fully embrace the fact that we are a teaching restaurant. I want you, in my opinion, the only way that you're going to improve is by failing. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to get learned. You're going to learn. But everybody is learning. Everyone in that restaurant, you're either learning a skill, you are learning how to talk to people, you are learning how to lead, you are learning how to follow, you're learning recipes, whatever it is, everybody is learning. But to be in business for 80 years is a massive accomplishment. Brennan's is known for creating breakfast at Brennan's. So most of you all know what brunch is, and you don't think anything of it. It's a time to go out with your friends and have some eggs and a glass of champagne or a mimosa or a cocktail, and then get on with your day. Well, that concept started at Brennan's in 1947 because they needed people to come to Brennan's, and everyone went to their favorite place for dinner. So the idea was, we're going to take all the luxury of dinner and bring it to Brennan's and bring it to breakfast. And it still holds true today. On a normal, breakfast, it's nothing for us to do 400, 500, 600 people for breakfast. And I'm not talking about a buffet. I'm talking about a la carte, a la minute. And so that's one of the opportunities, whether you're in the front or the back. You're not going to do a skill once or twice. You're going to do a skill hundreds, if not thousands of times. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to learn how to fix your mistakes. And that is where your growth is going to come. If we choose to work together, by the time your year is up, if you have fully committed to the experience, you are going to have worked in quite literally one of the finest restaurants in the world, and you will have proven to yourself that there is no environment that you can't work in. You may enjoy it and you may not enjoy it, but that's also part of the journey. But you are going to be pushed in every sense of the word to be a better version of yourself. And that's true with Redfish Grill too. It's just a different concept of restaurant. But Mr. Brennan is a man who is passionate about excellence, personal excellence, professional excellence, and he pushes us every day to find ways to be better, to improve the guest experience, to improve the staff experience, and we do. And so that is what you could look forward to working into, is not a company that's going to tell you something, but a company that's going to show you something every day. You just have to put in your piece. You have to do your work. And I promise you, this company, Brennan's and Redfish Grill, will more than do its part of the work.
But although you have a lot of return customers, I mean, there's not one day at Brennan's that's the same. You also host quite a magnitude of events at Brennan's, isn't that?
Correct. So for example, today, this is our slow season right now. The slow season in New Orleans is basically the middle of June till the beginning of September. So today is slow season. It's a Friday here. We're just breakfast at Brennan started at 9 o'clock this morning. We have 373 people for breakfast today, and we have 3 private events. Last year, with the help of 4 of our J1 candidates or 4 of our J1s, we did more than 1,800 private events last year. So on any given day, you can come in and we can do breakfast for 500 people. We can have 4 or 5 parties going on during the day. Then we can flip to a la carte dinner for a couple hundred people and another 3, 4, 5 private events. And so that is one of those things that you learn how to multitask. You learn how to prioritize, and you're going to make some mistakes. That's okay. I make mistakes every day. It's learning from those mistakes, growing from those mistakes, and then allowing each other to do it. And that's one of those things you're going to learn at Brennan's.
Okay, and Redfish Grill, the concept at Redfish Grill is a little bit different. I understand that it's one of the top seafood restaurants in New Orleans as well. Chef Haley or Chef Chris Vazquez, would you mind just sharing a bit about the dining concept, the history, and what Redfish Grill restaurant is all about?
Sure, I'll start off and then
Okay.
you can talk about the food, okay? So Redfish Grill is, I think we're past our 25th anniversary. The little sister to the big sister of Brennan's. And that restaurant is located on Bourbon Street, right? The gateway to the French Quarter, one of the most famous streets in the United States. And it was designed Ralph honestly was on his birthday. He wanted a really just simply great piece of grilled fish, and he couldn't find a restaurant that satisfied that. So he wanted to open one. So we opened Redfish Grill. Redfish Grill has one of the things that makes it very unique is it has a wood burning grill. And so there's probably only a handful of those in the city. And there's probably, I think, only 2 in the French Quarter. So they have one of the only wood burning grills in the French Quarter. And Redfish Grill focuses on local seafood, right? So all kinds of great seafood that comes out of the Gulf of Mexico. It is a more casual environment than Brennan's is, but you would be surprised how many of the service standards are the same at both restaurants. It's just presented in a more casual environment at Redfish Grill. So not as fussy. No, you don't have to have jackets on. The tables are painted with fish and crabs and shrimp. And then Chris runs a very large kitchen there. So I'll let him talk a little bit about the kitchen itself.
Redfish Grill, we are a very seafood forward restaurant. We mainly have seafood all over the restaurant, all over the menu and items like that. We really focus on the seasonal items that we have here in the restaurant. We have all kinds of different items on the menus. We've been really focusing recently on a modern take of traditional items such as etouffees, gumbos, traditional shrimp creoles and other items like this. And what we do here is we try to take these items and incorporate them into much more of a modern take these days. Some of the things that I used to do in the past has been heavier sauces and gumbos and stuff like that. And what we've done is lighten them up, but kept the traditional flavor and the depth of flavor. One thing you'll learn at Redfish Grill is for sure is the depth of flavor which we always run with. We make our own spices, which we take whole spices and dried peppers and we toast them all off. We grind them ourselves and we flavor all our food with that. And everything that we do there is with love and touch. You're going to learn how to taste food. You're going to learn what it tastes like when it's seasoned, when it's not seasoned, and how it's supposed to be presented on a plate. And when it's presented on a plate, you're going to learn how to do that in a timely manner. Because what we do at Redfish for the most part is volume. And our busier season relatively runs around 9 months a year. And like Christian said before, we're slow between June and September, and then after that, we pretty much get moving. We also have the benefit of doing some offsite events as well. So what I like to do is bring J1 program interns and stuff like that to learn how to do offsite programs. We also do parties in the in-house as well. So we learn how to do all the stations. We have multiple stations. I think 6 different stations between nighttime and 5 at daytime. We have pantry, desserts, the wood fire grill, saute, fry, a back saute. So you're gonna learn a large variety of items, things to do here. And in between those large variety of things, you're gonna learn how to do in perfection, because the quantity that you're doing is like no other. You're gonna do these things from scratch. We make our mayonnaise there. We make our own sauces there. We make our own demis there. We practice how to be the best there. If it takes you too long, it means you're doing it right. You're going to learn how to do the things right here at Redfish Grill.
Incredible, Chef. And
also,
Chef Chris, yes, Haley.
Bianca, I just wanted to add in too, for especially for Brennan's and for Redfish Grill. We have the Super Bowl this year coming in 2025, so the
Wow.
city's gonna be crazy.
Buzzing, yes, wow. But also a
And-
lot of
and
other
Bianca, we
festivals and
also
events in
have-
that.
Bianca, we also have your favorite artist coming this year. I know you are a huge fan of Taylor Swift, and so she'll be in New Orleans for 3 days in October. So for those of you watching, Bianca is a huge Swiftie. So
But who isn't? Who isn't?
Good chance you'll be back into January as well
Yeah.
for the Super Bowl.
yeah.
Wow, but speaking of events, I mean, it's Mardi Gras, it's Jazz Festival. What else happens in New Orleans? It sounds like such a busy, vibey environment to be working in.
Chris?
It is. I will say I'm kind of the noob, if you will, with this company. I've only worked for the company about 7 years, and
I'm new. I've only been here
Yeah.
7 years.
well, compared to everybody else. So my personal experience with working at Brennan's it really has been amazing. I mean, you know, besides all of the technical skills that you're going to learn, like I said, we had 7 chefs. Each chef is unique in their own way, especially like background and their techniques and their style of cooking. But yeah, I mean, New Orleans is like no other place. I mean, I've lived in California, families from New York, grew up in Florida, so I've been around, and it is quite the city, I will say. There's always something going on, even during the summer when it's slow. It's still incredibly vibing, and as far as food goes, I mean, there's really been no other place like New Orleans. The food here is incredibly different from any other country or city I've ever experienced.
So just to give you an idea about activities, slow time of the year, it's incredibly hot here right now.
Mhm.
And I think it's this weekend, it may be next weekend, we have what's called the Red Dress Run.
Yes.
And it is a fundraiser for the American Heart Association. And if I tell you 5,000 people, a lot of men who should not be wearing dresses, and women wearing dresses, and I use the word run very casually. Most people are walking, wearing red dresses, pulling coolers, drinking beer or cocktails on about a 2-mile loop, with frequent stops in a variety of bars until they get back to the end of the race, where there's live music and concerts. And so over the course of the year, you have Red Dress Run, you have the Fried Chicken Festival, the Macaroni and Cheese Festival, you have the Seafood Festival, oysters, you have the holidays, the
Gumbo.
sausage, gumbo, you have Mardi Gras, which is a 2-month. It is far too crazy to explain to you. You have French Quarter Festival, Jazz Festival. There is no city that celebrates fun like New Orleans, and so that's just one more reason to consider New Orleans in your journey. But it's a huge country with all kinds of different opportunities. Obviously, we are all partial to New Orleans. That's why we're representing, but this program's about the US experience in whole. So no city will give you more fun than New Orleans will, but every city has its own unique opportunities and destinations.
I mean, that is one of the incredible benefits of the J1 Cultural Exchange Program is for candidates to also immerse themselves in the cultural experience while they are on program. But you also encourage the candidates to travel, to take time off when it's not as busy, with the emphasis when it's not that busy, when it's snow season, and to go and explore, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Several of our interns will rent a car, they'll drive to Florida, they'll drive to Texas. Some interns go so much as flying to Los Angeles or Chicago or New York. Look, you are going to be treated like every other employee. You're going to have your days off. You can stack your days off together so you can take a trip. It's much like traveling to South Africa. The expense is getting to the US, just like for us, the expense is getting to South Africa. Once you're there, it's not very much money to go to Durban or go to Cape Town or go to Pretoria or Potchefstroom where we're going. So same for you. Once you get to the States, moving around in the States and seeing different things is far less expensive.
All right. Well, now to get to the actual reason why you are coming to South Africa. So Brennan's and Redfish Grill will be traveling all the way to South Africa between the 23rd of August and the 2nd of September to come and recruit top culinary, pastry, and food and beverage talent for the J1 program. So now I want to find out from you is what are you specifically looking for in the candidates that you recruit? I know that you've recruited hundreds of candidates from not just South Africa, but Zimbabwe and Kenya and all over Africa. What are you specifically looking for in the candidate? And how can they best prepare for what to expect during the interview when Brennan's and Redfish Grill come to South Africa?
I'll go first, but we'll let everybody have a conversation. Number one, the first thing I want you all to understand is it's not something you can prepare for. And the best example I can say is it's like dating. There's a lot of women that don't like me. I'm okay with that. I am not every woman's cup of tea. I'm surprised that I'm my wife's cup of tea. So what I would say is come to the interviews and be yourself. That's all you can be. Come and share with us what makes you you. Come be confident in who you are. We are less concerned about your technical skills. Yes, we want you to have some. We'd like for you to have some experience, but these are very big restaurants in very big cities. We want to know, is that something that you're going to be successful in? Not are you able to, but are you going to be successful in? Would you enjoy it? Because it is these are demanding environments. And one of the things we have learned over the years is, yes, we are a teaching restaurant, but we cannot sacrifice our guest experience for your learning. So we expect you to make mistakes, but some of you really enjoy being in small, quiet environments, and that's great. And you should do that. You should do what makes you happy, but our restaurants are not that. So, and that's one of the things that over the course of the interview, we're going to discover about each other. But I really want you to think about what it is that you want out of the year. If you're going to leave your home for a year, if you're going to move halfway around the world, what is it that you want? Because you should be asking us questions in the interview as much as we are asking you questions. Again, it's like dating. You have to get to know each other and find out if you're compatible. I know some people, I just want to come to the States, and I respect that, but you're probably not going to get much out of the experience. If you take the time and think about some thoughtful questions, that is going to help you discover, because you're interviewing us just as much as we're interviewing you. And there's restaurants and hotels and cruise ships all over the world that are looking for your talent. The question is your passion and our passions compatible? And that's what we're trying to find out.
I've always looked at, we'll first discuss the interview process. I've always looked at a job as a relationship, and a relationship is two people coming to an understanding and liking and respecting each other and working towards a common goal as we move forward. So when you come in for the interview process, please, once again, be yourself, be courageous, be loud, be spoken, be ready for your interview. Don't come into your interview and not understand what you want and what you don't want. Have a clear vision of what you want and what you're looking for and how you want to do it. And that's going to set you apart from anybody else. And once again, we are not looking for exactly skilled people. We are looking for people who are passionate and eager to learn and willing to sacrifice little things in your life to make the goal better. And the goal better is for not only for us to have a great standards, but the goal is, quite honestly, is to grow people in our industry. And you are the people that's going to make our industry better every day. We are only as good as our weakest link. And I know that's an old common term, but it is the truth. And if we cannot get everybody on the same page and everybody in the same direction, we're not accomplishing our goals. So your goal should be, as well as our goal should be, is to leave a little bit better every single day when you come into work. And whatever that means, it could mean that you pronounce something better. It means you cut something better. It could mean that you've actually learned how to make sauté, or you learn how to grill a piece of meat. But as long as you come in, learn how to sacrifice and learn and have the willingness and passion to learn every day is what we're looking for. We cannot ask for anything more. I ask myself of that every day, and sometimes you get sidetracked. We all have personal issues. We all have different things. But the next day when I wake up, I remind myself, it is time to learn something new and forget yesterday and move forward for today.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of what Chris said too. I can teach you knife cuts, techniques and such. I can't teach you passion. That's something that has to come from within. That has to be a goal or a prize at the end of the race, if you will. But if you come in, you are yourself, you show dedication, and that passion and that drive for creativeness and learning and just personal growth, then that's truly what I'm looking for.
And I completely agree. It is more about the personality and somebody having passion and wanting to come in and learn and to grow and to be able to learn different stations. I will tell you, I think sometimes students get frustrated because they want to come in and they want to be the sauté guy after 1 week. And it takes time. So I would add patience is an important trait, right? And trust in the chefs and the managers that you're working with, that if they say you're not ready to move to the station, you're not ready to move to the station.
Yeah.
Again, we are very busy restaurants, both of these properties, and it is a business. And we have to provide, people have high expectations when they come into a Ralph Brennan property. We have to live up to that. So again, I would say patience is really an important part of somebody's personality beyond the being passionate, because you have to be patient to work through the stations and understand that you're learning, and it may not move as fast as you want it to, but it has to be right when we move, and we can't jeopardize the entire kitchen or the floor. And there's lots of training that's available in all the restaurants for anybody who comes in. If you could be a cook, but you're interested in wine, we have wine classes and beverage, classes all the time. Everybody's welcome to come to them and to learn a little bit more. And then I would also add, as Christian said, the interviews, there is a lot of people to interview. We don't have as long as we would all like, right? And so it's very important for you to come in knowing what you want to ask of us as well, and to just to be yourself. We're not interviewing people to trip them up or asking tricky questions. It's just getting to know each other and being able to figure out, are you passionate about what you're doing? Are you passionate about wanting to grow? And more than it is about us trying to ask a tricky question to trip you up, right? We're just trying to get to know you, to see if it's a fit.
The last thing I would say is, especially for those of you that are listening or are going to listen, this is not an academic environment. And I think there are some of you that come straight from school to here. the best analogy I could say is we are happy to do that for you if you are the right person, if your personality tells us you can do that. But the analogy I can use is if you are coming straight from an academic environment, you are going from playing rugby at your school to playing rugby for South Africa, just like that. And so we have plenty of interns that have done that, but it's a huge jump. And we support that jump for the right person. But again, as Haley just said, and the two Chris's, let us lead the restaurant and we have a better sense of when you're ready to move than you are. There is something to be said for consistently delivering excellence, not I did well on the station today. Great. Or I did well, with my tables today. Great. How do you do when you're having a bad day? Because those guests, that's not their problem, that's your problem. How do you do when somebody calls out of work and now we've got to adjust? Because guess what? I've got 403 people coming for breakfast tomorrow. If I have 5 people call out tomorrow, we're welcoming 403 people for breakfast tomorrow, and everyone's going to do their job just a little bit differently to make sure people are happy. And so that's part of deciding when people move and when they're ready for the next thing is not can you do your job well when it's sunny and 70 degrees, but can you do your job well at every other time? And when you display that, then it's time for the next thing.
Christian, would you give them the pool analogy? So I think that's
Sure.
That's a really good one and it's important.
So, and again, these are, this is not unique to J1s. And I would say this is true in any property. And I've done the Michelin 3-star thing. I've worked in all those environments. Anyone around this table and everyone on our teams can teach you anything. But a lot of times when you're new or when you're young, I can teach you how to swim, but I cannot teach you how to swim until you jump in the pool. And sometimes professionally, there's a lot of people that are just kind of walking around the pool. Maybe they dip their toe in, but they don't commit. We can't help you be the best version of yourself. We can't help you go to the next thing until you get in the pool. You're going to drown. Let me help you. You're going to swallow water. And at the right time, we're going to pull you out. We're going to sit you on the side of the pool. We're going to pat your back until you get all the water out. And you're like, okay, I feel good. And then we're going to push you back in the pool again. And we're going to keep doing that. What's fun for us as leaders is watching you do that for the people that come behind you. I love watching our interns that have been here 9 months welcome the new intern that's just coming in. And they get to chuckle at the sense of wonder, the overwhelming, the panic, because they remember that. We remember it too. Haley was an intern. She knows what it's like to walk into an environment cold, surrounded by people that are so much better at their job than you are at the time. The question is, will you work hard to get where they are? And everybody says they will, but not everybody does. And so that's one of those things in the interview is, do we get a sense that you're just going to come and work? There'll be plenty of time to have fun. Rest assured, I am the first guy to have fun, but are you going to come, put your head down and grind? And if you do, you are going to be able to more than take care of yourself, and you're going to be more than able to take care of your family who's back home while you're over here.
Well, incredible, Christian. And I have to just reiterate that with the J1 program, it includes the training plan, and all candidates will have the opportunity to learn, to be trained. And one thing that I have noticed with both Brennan's and Redfish Grill is that all candidates get the opportunity. Ultimately, like you said, it's up to each individual candidate how much they will take from this opportunity that is given to them. And so many young candidates in industry who have worked in industry would know that it doesn't sit in anyone to train. It's not often that you will be in industry where you're working alongside managers and chefs that are willing to teach, to train, to help you advance and grow your career. So it's an incredible opportunity that is granted at both Redfish Grill and Brennan's Restaurant. So just to understand a bit more about the training specifically, can you just differentiate between the culinary and the food and beverage side of thing? What is the type of experience or exposure that the candidates would get during their J1 program at both Redfish Grill and Brennan's Restaurant?
Where do you guys start? You talk
On the
about how that-
culinary?
Mhm.
Okay, well, I'll start with the culinary. Like Christian said, and I wanted to bring this up, is it's not a school. It is definitely a work in progress. So with that being said, like at school, you have an instructor and everybody wants to learn from the instructor. And your job, the instructor here in Redfish Grill is going to be your chefs. Now, the chefs have many people to deal with in the kitchen. It could be 1 or 2 chefs for anywhere between 9 and 15 different people in a restaurant. They don't necessarily have time every single day to touch every single person, show them every single little thing that's on their list of things to do. So you have to learn within the restaurant of the other cooks and the environments and things like that. So when you come to Redfish Grill, when you actually experience a restaurant, you'll come in there and we are organized. We are very much organized to the fact of the matter, you'll come in, you'll have a prep sheet. Everything on your prep sheet will be listed of what the amounts you have to do and the other things you have to do. But sometimes you have to rely on the other people that are in the restaurant, learn from them. And cooking is one of the most wonderful things in the world for me, is because there's a million ways to do things, but you end up coming up with a one product at the end. So what you need to do when you come to Redfish Grill and learn all these different things is learn how somebody does something one way and how the other things do one way. And then you come up with your own theory about how you do something and how you make this end perfect product that we were looking for. Yes is a way to saute for sure. But you know what? There's a different ways to hold your knife, how to butcher and other things like that to get you through the day and learn through that. Now, at Redfish Grill, what we try to do is we try to put everybody in positions to succeed. And that's the most important thing. So when you come in, you'll talk to me when you first come in. We'll figure out what your experiences are and what you're comfortable with. You may start off in a prep situation. You may start off in a pantry situation. And then once you learn to hone those skills, you move on to the next situation where we feel is comfortable for you and we feel comfortable for ourselves to uphold the standards that we have. We could start you off, and we have done this. We started people off right on our grill station because they came in with enough confidence, enough experience to be able to do that. We started them off the grill station. We worked them on prep and all those other things like that. I've had an intern recently that she's been so good with all of the desserts and stuff like that, that we actually planned out our Thanksgiving menu together, and we planned out our buffet items together, and we had the whole week and we just worked together the whole entire week. There's endless opportunities to learn at Redfish Grill. You can learn the butchering and you can learn all these other things. You can work mornings, you can work nights. But in general, when you're going to come in, we're going to put you in a position that we feel that, especially me, feels that you can succeed at, that you can be comfortable at. I'm not going to put you in the deep water of the pool where you're going to drown right away. You're going to put you in the lower end so you can actually walk in the pool. And then when you want to swim, you can swim. But we will put you in position to succeed, and then you will move on accordingly as we go.
Like Chris said, at Brennan's, we're gonna do the same thing. The experience that you all are getting right now, whether it's at school, in hotels, in cafes, you're supposed to be taking that experience to Brennan's, if you will. That's your little like backdraft. It's a lot like playing sports. You know, you guys all go and do your practices for the big game. Well, Brennan's is the big game. But we're also not gonna have you put you in a situation where you're gonna completely fail. You know, like Christian said, we do have to uphold certain standards. We have to uphold making sure that the guest is taken care of. And I will also add to that the rest of the crew too. You know, sometimes attitudes will play, you know, into it, and I'm not gonna stick you in a place where you're having a crummy day every single day and that's like trickling down. You know, I want you guys to be successful. I want you to be able to learn.
No, pretty good for the diet.
I think, so I'll speak for the front of the house. One of the first, well, let me help you with one thing. Number one, if you are culinary, One of the interview questions is going to be, if we brought you to the restaurant today, what section could we put you in that you would feel successful? I.e. grill, saute, cold station, pastry. It makes us laugh every time because there is a significant percentage of you, unless you have a pastry background, where you're like, please don't put me in pastry, and it still makes us laugh every time, and that's fine. But understand, two things come from that. One is your level of confidence, and two, it's your level of self-awareness. If you're like, you can put me anywhere in the kitchen, I'm ready to go. You don't know yourself very well yet, because truthfully, the question is, what place can we put you in the kitchen right away that you would feel successful? So if you're culinary and you're coming to our interviews, that's one of the questions. In terms of front of the house, it's just like the kitchen. You're going to start at the basics, and you're going to understand coming into these restaurants is overwhelming. I don't care how much experience you have. I don't care where you're from. It's overwhelming. I have seen people come into Brennan's with amazing resumes, Americans and J1s alike, and I have seen them totally collapse. I have seen people with no experience whatsoever. We hired them because they were nice, positive people that were eager to learn and take off like a rocket. And then as you grow, you will be given more opportunities to grow. This is your journey. Sometimes, especially J1s, they get caught up with what other J1s are doing. Well, they're doing this and I'm not. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Worry about your journey. That's all you can do. You're not being measured against anybody but yourself. We all have a good sense of who you are and what you're capable of. That's why we interview you. Come and worry about you. Get the most out of the opportunity that you can, and you can't do that if you're worrying about other people. Worry about your journey, and are you making the most of every day? Of the millions of things that Mr. Brennan has taught me since joining this company, one of the things that continues to stand out every day is his challenge to be 10% better. That's every day, that's every week, that's every month. Can you be 10% better? You know, sometimes you hear leaders say, you know, we've got to be perfect every day. Doesn't exist. But can you be 10% better tomorrow than you were today? That's an achievable goal. Can you be 10% better next month than you were this month? Those are achievable goals. Again, everyone says they can, but as right now, the four of us sitting around here, I've got more than 200 people working in my restaurant. Chef Chris Vazquez has more than 130 working his restaurant. Chef Haley is responsible for more than 1,000 people. Not everyone says they have the same drive. Everyone does not execute the same drive. You have to choose to execute every day. That's what makes the players who play for South Africa in rugby who they are. And that's the reason I don't play rugby for South Africa every day, is because I don't.
Well, that's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And it's super, super important to understand the concept. But what I also want to ask is, it is scary for people to think about traveling halfway around the world, to go and work in a different environment, different culture, different background, different upbringing altogether. What is some of the benefits that the candidates can look forward to being on the J1 program? I know a lot of questions and concerns are around, you know, affordability. Will I be financially okay to live and work in New Orleans? What are my earning potential? What are some of the expenses that I can expect in terms of living in New Orleans? Christian, would you mind just putting a bit of
Sure.
emphasis on that for us?
So when we are there, we go through a presentation that's specifically to the finances.
Yeah.
I can tell you that if you do your part, money will not be a factor. And that's all I can say right now. And I can only imagine some of you are looking at this going, I don't believe you. And I respect that. You know, you don't really know the four of us. And so you're apprehensive, and you should be. about anybody. You want to see the proof in the pudding. What I can tell you is Brennan's just had a young lady who was a culinary J1. She came to us from Durban and the Thousand Hills Chef School. She was able to pay her rent and all her expenses in New Orleans. She was able to pay back her fees to Placement International. She was able to send home somewhere between $500 and $700 US a month. Bianca, what's the current change? What's the current rate right now? Roughly?
It's just
18,
under
19?
19. Yeah, around
Okay, we'll
19.
just- So, she was sending home more than 11,000 Rand a month. And when it was all said and done, when she left the United States, she still went home with more than 160,000 Rand. So if you do your part, money will not be the factor. Pause. That's also on you. We certainly have some interns that come and enjoy the very best of the American culture while they're here. We have some people that eat out 5 and 6 days a week and like to go to the clubs and the bars and all that. And if you do that, that's your choice. We are your bosses. We are not your parents. But if you come and live a reasonable lifestyle, which means you go to the restaurant sometimes, you go to the bar sometimes, you travel sometimes, but sometimes you just stay at home and watch Netflix or whatever it is that makes you happy, then you will be able to do that. So it's really about the choices you make while you're here, but that's part of the personal and professional growth that this program offers you. I have also had interns. I had one gentleman from Zimbabwe that was able to, he worked in the food and beverage side. He was able to build 3 houses and install an irrigation system on his family's farm and still went home with plenty of money. So it's about the decisions you make while you're here that are going to impact you financially.
And I would, Bianca, I would add that as far as different cities go in the United States, that New Orleans has a pretty low cost of living compared to a lot of other places. So you may see jobs in different cities in New York or Chicago or San Francisco that may be, the pay rate looks higher, but the cost of living in those areas is so incredibly expensive. It's one of the reasons why I came to New Orleans from culinary school as an intern, was because of the food culture, but also I could actually, as an intern, afford to live here. And it's a fairly easy city to get around. It's not that big, if you will. It's a pretty tight-knit city.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that valuable advice. I think ultimately, it's what you make of it and how you spend your money and how you save your money, which is super important. And also a very valuable point that you have made, Chef Haley, is that some other offers might look more attractive on paper, but what is the living expenses? What is rent going to cost you? What is transport going to cost you? What is it going to cost you to go and dine out? But I joked with Nanette earlier. Yes.
Bianca, can I just, again, just to give you some ideas. We have, number one, in New Orleans, most of our interns live close enough that they can walk to the restaurant, so that's a big piece. The other thing about housing that is different between all the interns is how you want to live. For example, I have interns that only have one roommate. And so because when they get off of work, they want to go home and have a quiet environment so they can rest and relax in. I've got another place where I've got 4 gentlemen in a 2-bedroom environment because they want to lower the amount of rent. 2 of them so they can go out and enjoy a lot of the culture of New Orleans, and 2 because they're sending money home to their families and their wives and their kids. So again, these are just choices you have to make and think about when you come over here, because it is your money and you have to choose how to spend it. But as a guy who's lived in Washington, D.C. and New York, sometimes those are great cities to live and work in, but sometimes you're spending more than an hour every day just commuting to and from your job. And so that is You know, you're already working X amount at your job and now you're adding 2 additional hours to get to and from. That's, you know, those are things you need to think about as you're looking at all these opportunities.
No, that's great advice. Thank you so much, Christian. Well, as we are rounding up, I would just like to, besides the fact that you are super excited to see my very friendly smile at the airport, what are you most looking forward to traveling to South Africa during August and September this year?
The people. I honestly, it's one of the things I love about South Africa, it is the hospitality. I didn't, you know, obviously New Orleans, Louisiana is in the South in the United States. I didn't grow up in Louisiana. And that's what I see, the commonality of just hospitality in people and the joy in people. So that's my favorite thing is actually meeting everybody and talking to them.
The weather.
Yeah.
The weather.
It's so hot right now. I'm looking forward to the weather, meeting everybody. I guess. Yeah, that's probably better.
Chris?
I really enjoy like the different kind of food there and just a passion from the schools that we go to. Just walking into schools and seeing the passion itself. I'll be honest with you, I am the type of person that has a ton of passion and it just elevates mine to another level when I come there. It reminds me where I came from, what I've become, and what I need to become even more than what I am today. The passion is from the schools and the hearts is what I really look forward to. The energy is actually brings me through the whole entire year, and I'm looking to be re-energized again while I am there.
It's incredibly inspiring for all of
It's
us.
really inspiring, there's no doubt about it.
So for me, one, Bianca, the look of pure joy and happiness and fear that's on your face when you see me walk through immigration. But I echo everybody else. One, and I'm drawing a blank on the name of it, Biltong is certainly one of those things that I'm really looking forward to. And for those of you that don't know, Bianca makes her own biltong that we will be judging while we're over there. But the other piece, certainly, and I think Chef Chris said it really well, is the energy walking into these schools and these environments. It's such a great reminder of why we all do what we do. Is you walk into these rooms, you see these passions, you see these people just hungering for these opportunities. We have great conversations, especially when we start talking about numbers and money and just kind of the laughter and the shock and the awe and all those things. But it's also very much the one-on-one conversations. Every year we all leave with very specific stories of individuals that we've had an opportunity to meet. There's a gentleman in Potchefstroom that he and I have been exchanging emails, Hanru, since, and he and I are going to actually be singing a song at his school together. And hopefully he hears this because he's going to be mortified, but it's those connections, because Chef Chris said it, you all are the future of this industry. You all are the ones that are going to carry the torch for growing the hospitality industry. And so coming to us gives you an opportunity to learn something else. It's another feather in your cap, but you are teaching us just as much. You are rekindling that passion for hospitality, whether that's cooking, whether that's food and beverage. And so we both, all of us, you and us, we feed off that energy. And that's really what we're looking forward to.
Incredible. And I must say, one thing that I really do appreciate is that it's not just an HR person coming to recruit. It is literally you taking time out of your busy operation to come to South Africa for 2 weeks to come and handpick your teams. So we are incredibly grateful for the time that you take out of your busy operation to come to South Africa. We look forward to hosting you, and I'm sure all of our candidates are equally excited to meet each and every one of you in person. And then as we said, we will be visiting quite a few top culinary schools and chef hospitality schools during the trip as well. We look forward to hosting you, both Brennan's and Redfish Grill. We thank you so much for your time today. I know it's a busy breakfast brunch at the moment in both restaurants. Anything else that you would like to add just to wrap it up?
I don't think so. I feel pretty good about, we've really covered everything. I think, I would love to have Ralph one day on one of these. Because I think he really enjoys like having passionate people about hospitality come and join us and learn and help teach us new skills too. So thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And for those candidates who are eager to submit their CVs, please do so. You're welcome to leave your details in the comment section or reach out to myself, to Kyla, or to anyone in our team so that we can see how we can assist you and which specific location would be best for you to interview. We look forward to seeing you in person. To the executive team at Brennan's, Chef Haley, Christian, Chef Chris, and Chef Chris Vazquez, thank you so much for your time. You must have a lovely day until we see you in South Africa.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you soon, Bianca.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
See you soon.